if you look fundamentally, what you see in a cuisine of a country is a combination of its geography, its politics, and its economics. So, for example, if you look at, let's take an example of where's got a delicious cuisine. Mauritius. Mauritius is really interesting
It's
cuisine.
weird food, isn't it? It's like it's an amalgamation of everything, isn't it?
Chinese, French.
It's crazy.
So they have a Chinese, French,
Indian,
bit of Indian, and you can trace the ways of integrating. Quite interestingly, all integrated into its own cuisine. So those cuisines didn't separate. If you look at another country, been to quite a bit, Jordan, there you've got these two cuisines. So you've got what they call the desert and the sown. So you've got
the sown,
SOWN.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
So they talk about like the agricultural diet from the fertile areas, which is very different from the Berber, the desert, the desert diet, which is, the staple is they get this extraordinary yogurt, which they dry into these hard balls, because that's how you keep it. And then they make these mansaf, this incredible stew where you get the dried yogurt and you boil it up with water and then you put meat in it. And so all of the culture is built around the cuisine and the geography. So I think I instinctively, whenever I go anywhere, and the other thing you've got in Jordan, interestingly, is they've got all these dishes that have come down. So there was a migration from Georgia. So you had back in the 19th century, early 20th century, I can't remember, migrants coming down from Georgia, and they brought a whole load of Caucasian dishes. So walnuts cooked with milk and chicken, for example, which is a classic Georgian dish. And those now exist in northern Jordanian cuisine. So, I think that it's one lens to understand a country, and it's probably one of the most enjoyable lenses to understand a country through.
Yeah, the Jordan thing's fascinating. What other crazy places have you been to, and the food's really kind of just as you were saying, it's one lens to explore things, but where the food's really kind of grabbed you.
Oh, so another great one, traveling in Laos. So
in Laos, yeah.
In Laos. I was there before methanol-laced alcohol, but there you've got this extraordinary interaction between the French cuisine and the indigenous cuisine. So you've got, at a bus station, for example, in Laos, your classic kind of what you'll buy to go on board a bus, if you're going at lunchtime, will be a little plastic bag of, now this, by the way, I'm talking 1999, so it might all have changed.
Yeah. Yeah. They got vending machines in the bus stop now. I'd imagine that'd be heinous.
Yeah, so, but then, then I bet you used to, I would be prepared to bet you still get this. So yeah. You got, your lunch dish was sticky rice and a little kind of charred vinegary chili sauce that you dip the sticky rice into, and a banana that you eat with the sticky rice at the end. So that was your savory and your pudding. And
wait, hang on. So the rice is doubling up as your...
Yeah, you eat the rice with the banana at the end and dipped into the chili sauce at the beginning. And that really delicious sticky rice. And that was your staple lunch. If you got breakfast, they would literally have the most delicious iced coffee and the best baguette that you've tasted outside of France. But they would serve the baguette with, instead of butter, they'd put condensed milk on it. So you'd have condensed milk from a tin.
Yeah, what is this? Savory, or is it, sweet?
The sweet condensed milk with a baguette with a really strong iced coffee. And so that was a combination of the French clean. There's
Well,
some
isn't the
fight.
banh mi, because didn't the French kept invading the Vietnamese?
Yeah, banh mi is
the
banh
banh
mi
mi
is
is like
French.
a
Yeah,
that's
that's the
yeah, 'cause
that's the French.
you've got
That's the
like
French baguette.
yeah, you've got big.
I mean, I talk the other one, the other brilliant fusion, which I think we don't take enough credit for, is the and you talked about it earlier in the podcast, the Katsu curry. So when the French when the Japanese came out of isolation, the Meiji period, late 19th century.
So yeah, just for listeners, that because I only learned about this recently, but it's the reason Japan's culture is so unique is they locked the borders for how long?
They locked the borders
for hundreds of years, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They didn't trade with anyone, and then they started trading, and they started trading with the Dutch because the Dutch would stand on Bibles and swear. They made the people, and the Dutch were the only people pragmatic enough to say, "Oh, that's fine. We'll stand on a Bible."
That's so jokes.
And the Chinese and the emperor's like, my God, everyone's so big and we're so small. We're going to have to improve our diet. And one of the ways that they improved their diet was they started with the armed forces, creating new recipe books for them and new recipes. And then they would, on the radio, in the early 20th century, they would kind of share these recipes for the general population. But one of those dishes was the Katsu curry. And the Katsu curry started off as a dish on British naval ships, which was inspired by fried chicken and an Indian curry sauce from their time in
Wait, so that's a British thing, the Katsu curry.
So the British Navy invented the Katsu curry.
But what year was what? Yeah. We need more credit for that.
This is the late 19th, early 20th century. So we should be very proud of ourselves for this.
I wouldn't realize how you'd fried chicken back then, but that's mad. Yeah, I could be so wrong here, so forgive me. But I didn't realize how much influence the Portuguese had on the Japanese as well. I've just been in Lisbon. Well, my mate lives in Lisbon. I was there a couple of weeks ago. And we did like one of the tours, and I think that like if you go online, there's so many words that are Portuguese and Japanese.
Yeah, well, they were trying to convert them. They were all trying to convert them to Christianity. Shogun? Shogun is the TV show to watch.
So the Portuguese, you know way more than me, Henry. My only word was that tempura is apparently a Portuguese word that has gone into Japanese.
I didn't know that, but yes, the Portuguese went out to do two things. They went out to convert them and to trade with them.
Espressos is sponsored by supply chain software gurus Unleashed. It talks to your e-com and accounting software. It's helped islands cut admin time in half, get granular clarity on your margins, know where your stock is, don't miss availability. Brands like Candy Kittens, Tiny Rebel, and Trip